Mark Zuckerberg is turning an idyllic corner of Hawaii into a Bond villain compound where his family can see out the apocalypse. Forgive me, my friends. Just give me a few seconds here.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
I love this song. So how many of you get the reference? I assume many of you do, if you're around the same age as me. But for those that don't, because we don't want to leave you out of the joke, this is the song from the opening of Fallout 3. Man, Fallout 3, as far as video games go, is a masterpiece. It starts with this radio turning on. This song, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, starts playing. And as the camera slowly pans out, you get to see very lightly, gradually, and then suddenly, the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Washington, D.C. Mark Zuckerberg gets it, but it's not just him. We know that many ultra-rich have been building apocalypse bunkers, but now the big news is that Mark Zuckerberg is spending £212 million on an emergency compound with blast doors on the island of Kauai. Is that how you pronounce it? Kauai? 10 miles from the home of former 007 Pierce Brosnan. You know, I wouldn't go for the Bond villain complex narrative because we're talking about post-apocalyptic. But they're trying to argue that, like, look, James Bond lived here and now Mark Zuckerberg's building a Bond villain compound. It's not a Bond villain compound. It's just a very wealthy guy who's spending nearly $250 million because fears about what's to come in the years ahead. I've long thought about emergency bunkers, and truth be told, my friends, we have our emergency preparations. Ain't nothing like this. But, our friends over at Fortitude Ranch, I invested in it, and we had them on the show a couple times, several times, I think 3 or 4, actually, different times. Fortitude Ranch has been on Timcast IRL, and they do disaster preparedness, but I'm a practical guy. So the reason why I invested and the reason why I thought Fortitude Ranch was cool is because, practically speaking, it's like a dude's retreat. If you're a man's man, kind of manly camping kind of guy, country guy, then Fortitude Ranch is where you go to sit in a lodge, watch movies, chop some wood. There's chickens, and you go hike. It's just an outdoors adventure kind of thing. But, it does serve as an emergency bunker should the apocalypse occur. But here's what's going on with Mark Zuckerberg. They say that while the star of GoldenEye, blah, 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 can sometimes be seen cycling, blah, 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 there's nothing subtle about Silicon Valley billionaires' efforts to turn 1,400 acres of unspoilt coast into a home where he and their family can sit out the apocalypse. In doing so, critics say he has ridden roughshod over ancient indigenous property rights and indulged a paranoid passion for privacy that looks deeply hypocritical from the man who's made his fortune from monetizing other people's private information. Whatever, man. Look, I'm criticize the guy. I get it. In choosing this spectacularly beautiful north coast of Kauai, the oldest, least developed, and most westerly of Hawaii's main islands, he has chosen what many regard as a paradise within a paradise. Nicknamed the Garden Isle because it's covered in tropical rainforest, Kauai's highlight is the jaw-dropping Na Pali coast of the north, where towering cliffs plunge into an azure sea. It's no surprise the coast has been used in dozens of films, blah, 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 blah. We get it, man. At the center are 2 mansions with a total floor area of 55,000 square feet, similar to that of an American football pitch. The 2 houses boast lifts, offices, conference rooms, and industrial-sized kitchens. Another building will feature a full-size gym, pool, sauna, hot tub, cold plunge pool, and tennis court. My. It looks like he's going to be building an underground tunnel running between the 2 mansions and branch off into a 5,000 square foot underground bunker. If 5,000 square feet's a good size for an underground bunker. This includes living and sleeping space, a mechanical equipment room, and an escape hatch that can be accessed via a ladder. The shelter's main door will be built from metal and filled with concrete, a common anti-blast design that's used in military-grade bunkers and bomb shelters. The level of security around the compound is said to be unparalleled, including an extensive network of centrally controlled surveillance cameras and many interior doors operated by keypad. Well, Mark, you do your thing. I've thought about this. I recommend the video game Horizon Zero Dawn. If you don't play it, just read or watch a video about the lore. And it's masterfully written, masterfully. A little woke in the second game, Forbidden West. But the story in this game is that a military weapons manufacturer, produces autonomous military drones with weapons, but they have the ability to self-replicate. Now, it's not magical stuff. They don't like split or anything. No, it's just there's very large ones that operate as factories, and the drones collect resources and use it to manufacture more drones. The science, or I should say fantasy magic in the game, is that these drones have the ability to convert biomass into fuel. It's not completely science fiction, but it's fairly science fiction because in the game, they just like fire a beam at a tree and all the leaves turn to red mush and then get sucked up. Yeah, okay, well, that's a little out there. But the idea that they could harvest biomass and then ferment it into various fuels they can use, plausible. You would need something that can manipulate, fine-tune, and blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Making chips is a lot harder. But in the game, the drones grow out of control. They can't crack the encryption. And eventually, they turn Earth into a barren rock with no biomass. A terraforming project happens, reignites the planet, rebuilds, and re-terraforms after the machines have been shut down. In the game, there are numerous bunkers that people survive in. And I know it's all fiction, but it's a great exploration of what it would be like. It would be hell. And I look at these photos of these emergency bunkers. Here's one. Awesome abandoned bunkers for sale. And I look at this one and I see the sterile environment. And you'd have to live underground in the event of like a nuclear apocalypse or some kind of, I don't know, war. Now, according to the actual sales, the point is to be in a rural area where you could go underground to survive initial catastrophe and then go above ground. I don't think they're expecting, the Earth to become a barren rock or anything like that. But depending on how long you'd have to live in one of these bunkers, man, it's almost just not even living. But then the question is, what do you do? Do you just die? No, you fight to survive. It doesn't sound fun. I don't know if it sounds like living. But it is fascinating to have these. I mean, video games are fun. I mean, they're fictional explorations of what would happen. And they have these diaries in Zero Dawn where people are, their video diaries recording, talking about what it's like and what they're going through. And it is horrifying. Fallout 3 is much the same way. These vaults are built. People live underground for hundreds of years. Some don't make it that long. And I guess it is what it is. What would you have of Mark Zuckerberg? I mean, the dude's worth billions. He's just sitting on money. Why not? When I was younger, I always wondered to myself why it was that the ultra rich bought these big mansions and these cars. I'm like, it's so stupid. And to be fair, I still hold a great deal of that ethos. I do think it is stupid, but now I understand a little bit better. It's investment. Mark Zuckerberg's got billions of dollars. What's he going to do? Is just sit on cash? He's got to do something with it. And so he builds this bunker, I guess. Why not? Now, I don't think he'll ever sell the thing. If he does, he'll sell at a tremendous loss. But there's very few potential buyers for a 212 million pound bunker. I mean, pound, they're doing it British pounds, so let's just say $250 million bunker. Only a small handful of people would ever consider buying it. And if he sold it, he'd probably have to sell it for way cheaper. 50 million maybe. And then someone might consider buying it. But I don't even know about that. It's far away. It's isolated. But maybe they want the bunker. Fine. What else is he going to do? Now, for me, we've been quite successful here at Timcast. I still do hold a great deal of that ethos. What's the point of buying a bunker and buying cars and mansions? Yeah. I still do have, my houses and my vehicles. But almost all the money I spend is just on winning the culture war. I'll tell you why. Mark, I don't think I'd want to live in an emergency bunker like that where I'm locked underground. Maybe you're far away in Hawaii, you're isolated from all the chaos and the crisis, and you can survive. I kind of like humans. Yeah, I know everyone really jokes about how they don't like people, but I actually really do like people. We want to prove ourselves to others. We want to be around others. We want to communicate with others. We want to share our ideas. We are social beings. I wouldn't want to live in this weird island far, far away from everybody. So instead of building an emergency bunker or buying tons of cars, I'll just keep investing all of my money in the culture war because I'd prefer to prevent the apocalypse, and then continue living in this beautiful planet with my neighbors, other people, and chickens, of course, because chickens are based AF. But maybe that's what Mark Zuckerberg should be considering. Winning a culture war, bringing back personal responsibility with individual rights and community, instead of just running away from everything as he burns it down. Well, I don't want to set the world on fire, my friends. I want to ignite a spark in your heart so that you too will stand up for what you believe in and that you will help stave off the apocalypse. No new wars under Donald Trump. Securing our borders and living peacefully, it can be done. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.